need constitutional amendments as well. Joining me now to take this forward is DP Nagender Kumar, former member of the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. Mr. Kumar, thank you very much for joining us. Now, as far as compensation cess goes, sir, this was only a temporary measure for 5 years, and during the pandemic, it was extended because you needed to give that compensation and revenues to states. Extension was till March 2026. Now, if compensation cess is replaced by a health and clean energy cess, wouldn't it go against the original intent of the GST?
Good afternoon. Insofar as the compensation cess is concerned, you are right. The compensation cess was operational for 5 years from 2017 to 2022. And as you're all aware, it got over on 30th June 2022. Now, what is being collected as compensation cess today, and it is expected to be completed by 2026 March, as per the reports available, is basically the compensation payable to the states in terms of the shortfall as against the expected revenue growth. Now, we are also aware that entire compensation cess payable to the states for the first 5 years has since been paid, one, from the compensation cess pool, what has been collected, and also what the central government has borrowed and given to the states way back in 2022. So that fund, what the cess is being collected today, is being used for recouping that loan repayment. Now coming to the continuation of the compensation cess, you are right that the constitutional amendment provided for only the 5 years for which this cess could be collected. Now, as to what should be the way forward, we are all aware that the government has constituted a group of ministers headed by the Honorable Minister of State for Finance, Government of India, under whose leadership the deliberations are happening. Now, I'm not privy to the remarks you have made with regard to the compensation cess is going to be replaced by a clean energy cess or health cess, but I think that's something which is not known to us large. Yes, the deliberations are happening within the government, especially in the GOM, as to what should be the way forward in terms of incorporating this cess which was being collected on those specific commodities going forward. It could be absorbed in the basic rate of the duty, or it could be collected over and above in some form of an amount which we are not very clear about as on date. Yeah.
Right. Right. But do you think, sir, even though the discussions are at very preliminary stages, do you believe that such an exercise is necessary? Because the whole sentiment right now and expectation is for the simplification of the GST. So do you think having two different cesses after this would run contradictory to that sentiment?
Well, I think as on date, I think the cesses being collected on these commodities like motor vehicles, tobacco, aerated waters, things like that. But going forward, when the compensation cess collection comes to an end, let us say March 2026, whether these cesses hitherto being collected as compensation cess, this rate could be absorbed into the basic rate of duty, is one way of looking at things. So that I think the current level of taxation on these goods are continued even post-March 2026. That's one option before the GOM.
Right.
The other option is to levy an amount as a GST over and above the basic rate what is being levied. If the committee will have to look into and discuss about this. And I'm not very sure whether you can partake the character of a cess at all, because cess can be used only for a specific purpose in terms of the constitutional scheme of things, and whether it could be used for a general purpose is a matter which need to be examined in detail. Yeah.
Right. Now, rate rationalization is something that the government is going to be pursuing with different state governments. It needs consensus in the council, sir. But when it comes to rationalizing the rates, if you go ahead with this exercise, will you have to somehow also levy cess or increase GST on certain items, maybe sin goods like tobacco and automobiles, in order to offset that exercise?
Yeah, I think insofar as the rate rationalization is concerned, I think we are all aware that the Rate Rationalization Committee constituted by the GST Council has submitted its interim report way back in 2022, consequent to which a number of commodities on which the inversion was happening were corrected. The Rate Rationalization Committee is in the process of finalizing its report and submitting it to the GST Council, the details of which are yet to be known. But certainly, I think the rate rationalization is one exercise which is independent of this issue which you have flagged it. Now, some of these commodities which are attracting cess today could have a higher rate of tax in the form of absorption to the basic rate itself, and that could be a part of a different exercise, because Rate Rationalization Committee today is under the leadership of the Deputy Chief Minister of Bihar. The compensation cess issue, which going forward, the way forward, will be under Mr. Pankaj Chaudhary, the Honorable Minister of State for Finance in the Government of India. Now, this could be a part of that committee recommendation, which we'll have to wait and see. Yes, rate rationalization, I think it's a matter of the recommendation by the Fiscal Committee, and thereafterwards it's examined at the Rate Rationalization Committee, and the recommendations are laid before the GST Council.
Right. Mr. Kumar, now there is also talk and reports that there may be a move to increase GST or cess on tobacco, on sin goods and cars, maybe even luxury cars as well. Currently, if you look at the GST structure on automobiles, especially cars, it's 28% plus 22% cess at a higher level. Do you feel that there is a case for increasing GST on automobiles, especially cars?
I think we need to wait for the recommendations of the Fitment Committee and then deliberations in the GST Council. Any statement at this point would be purely speculative. I would not like to speculate on that.
All right. Mr. Nagender Kumar, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate the fact that you tried to explain all the nuances, despite the fact that these discussions are at a preliminary stage. Of course, but a lot of things are happening behind closed doors, and there's a lot of feedback coming from the industry, and the government is also seeking a lot of views from different stakeholders. Thanks once again for being with us. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of News Center. More news and updates continue right here.